Morning, everybody. Jeremy Brunansky here. It's Monday morning. It's 10 a.m. PST. We are ready to get this week's brand new episode of Brunansky's Vlog started. Before we do that, though, we're going to take a quick look, make sure we got a strong connection with YouTube. We got that green light. If we do, we'll roll the intro, and then we'll be right back to talk about movie news, movie reviews, and as always, a little bit more. So let's take a look here and make sure that we are good to go. Looks like we got the green light, so we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, because this week's episode is getting ready to start. Good morning, everybody. We are back. We're live. I'm Jeremy Brunansky. It's 10 a.m. PST. It's Monday morning. This is YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us here on another episode of Brunansky's Vlog. We have got a lot to talk about this week. And before we do that, we're just going to jump into some quick commercials. And then one thing I noticed, I just wanted to cover right at the top of the show because it confused me. And hopefully, if you're watching this right now and you have any fashion sense at all, you can throw your comments in the comments section and illuminate my mind a little bit as to why this is a thing. But before we get into that topic, let's just jump into some commercials really quick. Make sure you're following us on Twitter on Stardust, because Stardust is where I do all my movie trailer reviews. We got over 200 movie trailer reviews up on the channel right now, so make sure you're following us there. And then also make sure that you are clicking that subscribe button right here on YouTube. Punch the bell so you get the notifications. Then at any time, if you enjoy this week's brand new episode, go ahead and give me the thumbs up, because the thumbs up helps people who like movie related shows find this movie related show right here on YouTube. If you are brand new to the channel, thank you so much. On this channel, we talk movie news, movie reviews, and a little bit more. And then if you're returning, if you are a faithful watcher, thank you as well. Again, if you enjoy the show, go ahead and give me the thumbs up. So before we jump into this week's episode, let me also give a shout out to a buddy of mine named Chris. Chris is a veteran. He was in the Army and he owns his own business. So he has a small business that he owns and he has a website that goes with it. But before we give the shout out to his website, just want to send a big thank you his way, because this past week, he helped me out over at my parents' house. We were over there. We spent the day working on their house, trying to get brand new doors installed. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to teach me how to install double doors, because I had no idea how to do that. So thanks for teaching me how to do that. Appreciate it. And if you are a veteran, thank you guys for your service as well. But make sure you check out his website. I threw it in the description box below. So just punch that little arrow. It'll expand. If you are into home improvement, if you are into construction and you do that kind of thing, check out his website. Also, just hit him up for anything that you may need. I know he does veterans discounts if memory serves. So check out his website if you're into construction and home improvement and stuff like that. Again, thanks, Chris, for all of your help teaching me how to install double doors, which was crazy weird. Took all morning, all day, but we got it done. So thanks so much. And then also, thank you to everybody out there who is a veteran. Thank you guys for your service. Appreciate it. Make sure you check out his page again in the description box below. All right. So before we do that, I had just a quick thing I wanted to talk about here in regards to men's fashion before we jump into this week. I had to go buy some new shorts because after everything that we did at Yellowstone National Park, where we were shooting the documentary, I did lose some weight from all the hiking. So I had to go buy some new shorts, which I haven't had to do in forever. And I noticed that men's shorts are now denim shorts. Like, I don't know why that's a thing. I was walking around trying to find shorts that now fit. And I was like, why are there so many denim shorts in the men's shorts section? Like, I grew up in the 80s, right? So like, I get denim jackets, I get denim jeans. Like, denim was really big, right, in the 80s. But denim shorts I just don't vibe with. I don't get that energy. So if you're a fashion person, if you're fashion forward, fashion conscious, go ahead and throw your comments below and let me know why denim shorts are making a comeback for men. It really confused me completely off the rails from what we normally talk about on this show, but let me know in the comments below why denim shorts for men. I don't understand it. It makes no sense. But let's go ahead and move into this week's episode because we have got a lot to talk about. So much to talk about. I've got a whole bunch of notes here. So we're going to move through that. We're going to try and keep this within the 30 minutes. That way you guys can get back to your Monday mornings. If you're watching this at work, if you're watching this at home, thank you guys. Hopefully we'll get you back to your day. And yeah, that's about it. So let's jump into this week's episode. We have got some news stories we're going to talk about. Plus, I got out to the theater to see 2 films. I got out to the theater to check out Crazy Rich Asians and the Happytime Murders. So stay tuned for those reviews. Will be dropping later in the show. Also, we have what's hitting theaters, what's hitting DVD and Blu-ray, and finally certified rad. So in the description box below, if you hit the arrow, it'll give you all of the links for all the articles we're going to talk about. Plus, certified rad is a book review. So if you want to check that book out, the link is down there for that as well. And if you have any curiosity about starting your own YouTube channel and what kind of equipment you might need, I threw links for all of the gear I use for the weekly show in the description box, so you can check that out and see if that's something that you would want to pick up for your own YouTube channel. Hit it up. All right, let's go ahead and move into the news segment this week. All right, there you go. All right, down below, you can see the ticker tape is running with additional honorable mentions, news stories that I saw that I was like, that's cool, but we don't really have time to dive too deep into. So just go ahead and keep your eyes on that as we go through the news segment, and that'll give you a couple more bits of what's happening behind the scenes in Hollywood. So let's go ahead and jump into this first news. Oh, sorry, we're gonna go box office. I did this last week too. Man, getting back into the swing of things. What a rush. Also, don't forget to check out the short documentary that we did. Why I had to go buy the shorts because of the weight I lost. For Yellowstone National Park in the Spirit of America, it was accepted into the Road Short Film Competition. So we got Winners Week, I think is what they announced on the internet just a couple days ago. So we got all the different categories for the voting. So thank you to everybody who voted for my film. It was accepted. It has been getting votes. So I appreciate all of you guys who watched it. Appreciate everybody who has voted. If you haven't seen it yet, I put a link for that in the description box below, along with the 1-year anniversary recap. Check it out. All right, now let's actually get into the news. Man, woo, what a morning. More coffee is needed. Here we go. Box office reports. I told you what I saw. I got out to see Crazy Rich Asians and I got out to see the Happytime Murders. We're going to take a look at the top 5 in the box office. So what were you guys seeing this weekend in the theater? Let's take a look. Coming in at number, excuse me, coming in here at number 5, we have Christopher Robin. Coming in at $6,340,000. Coming in at number 4 is Mission Impossible Fallout, $8 million. Happytime Murders coming in at number 3 at $10,020,000. The Meg, number 2 at $13,030,000. And coming in at number 1 in its second week, Crazy Rich Asians at $25,010,000. So, job well done to Crazy Rich Asians. Like I said, my review for that will be dropping later in the show right after the news segment, so stay tuned for my thoughts there. But just really quickly, I really enjoyed my time in the movies with this film. The story, the characters, everything about it was just A+. Excuse me. So later in the show, when the review drops, stay tuned for more thoughts. But just up ahead, spoiler alert, A+ movie, really enjoyed my time. The Meg did not disappoint me at all. It gave me exactly what I wanted as far as a goofy shark movie. And then they took itself a little bit more serious than I anticipated, which isn't really a negative, but it surprised me. So I'm still surprised to see it in the number 2 spot, though, with the Happytime Murders coming out. The Meg in its 3rd week. Happytime Murders dropping at number 3 with only $10 million. It's got a pretty good cast. And the film itself, you'll hear later in my review, it has its high points and it definitely has its low points, right? So I know that it's a movie about puppets, so there's already kind of like what do I expect from this film? Rated R comedy, right? So it had some really strong parts as far as structure was concerned, but then there's a lot of other really weak parts, which you're going to hear about in my review later. So again, stay tuned for that. But I am still surprised that it only came in at number 3. I thought with Melissa McCarthy's name, Maya Rudolph, like I thought these names would at least bring people into the theater to check it out at least once. That does not appear to be the case at all. Mission Impossible Fallout, my review for that is on the channel right now. If you go to the movie reviews playlist, you can check it out. Really liked it a lot. This franchise just knocks it out of the park. Really, really great stuff. And Disney's Christopher Robin, really enjoyed that as well. You can check out my review for that. That is up on the channel right now. If you go to the movie reviews playlist, you can check out the Meg, Mission Impossible Fallout, Christopher Robin, and then today you'll be able to hear Crazy Rich Asians and the Happytime Murders. So all 5 of the films in the top 5 I've seen and reviewed. So check those out. Real quick, just want to give a shout out to Crazy Rich Asians, because from week 1 to week 2, they only had a 6% drop, which is insane, was right? Because if you're faithful watchers of the show, you know that we've talked about opening weekend to the second weekend, right? So you can see that drop of box office earnings, usually like anywhere between like 40, maybe 50%, right? Maybe even like 35. But it's usually something substantial of in excess of 20%. So for them to do less than a 6% drop, like I said, guys, A+ is what I would give this movie as far as like a cinema score. If I was asked, like, what would you give it? I would give it an A+, and you'll hear why later in the show. But I really like this film. I really like the characters, really like the story. There is enough humor. And then there's also these nice little touching moments with dialogue that make you think, just across the board. Really, really good stuff. And so for a 6% drop, that shows staying power. That shows that the people who enjoyed it went back out to the theater to see it a second time, maybe a third time. Word of mouth got out where they're just like, hey, you need to check this film out. And then their friends and family went, or their coworkers went. Like, that's really, really impressive for less than 6% from week 1 to week 2. I don't know if there's going to be another film out this year that can beat that. Crazy Rich Asians might have the best week 1 to week 2 change this entire year. We'll have to wait and see, but I think that might win it. I think that might win it. So again, everybody involved with Crazy Rich Asians, job well done. A+ movie. Really enjoyed it. Real quick, let's round out the top 10. We've got Slender Man at number 10, AXL at number 9, Black Klansman at number 8, Alpha at number 7, and Mile 22 coming in at number 6. Go ahead and throw your comments in the comments section below and let me know what you thought about the top 10. Did you see any of those films? What were your thoughts? Give us your non-spoiler review in the comments section below. All right, first story is coming to us from The Hollywood Reporter. And again, all of these articles you can find in the description box. Just click the links and you can read along with us as we go through it. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 postponed. The pre-production team told, go ahead and head on home, and if you want to find other work, you can. Huge, right? Because they didn't just say, hey, go ahead and go home. Like, we're just going to put this on hold. We'll come back to it later. They said if you want to find another film to start working on, you're free to do that, right? That is big. So, because you plan these films out, right? So in the article, it talks about how they're getting ready to start pre-production, but the actual production of the film wasn't supposed to start until about January or February. So they've got all this pre-production stuff they're going to do in months of work just to get ready to start production, right? And they're like, yep, go ahead and go on home. That is massive. That's massive. I don't think people realize how big of news that is. Will this film drop in phase 4? We can't say for sure, right? So in the article, they also talk about how Disney Marvel never gave an official release date, which is true. They just said it was going to be the first official film of phase 4, but now that looks like it's not the case. If you watched last week's show, you know that we talked about some possibilities of other Marvel films because they had this unofficial mystery film that they're announcing that they're going to start working on, right, for next year. And it's going to be starting for June 2019 is what they're looking for their production date to start by. So, and it's mystery, right? So what we talked about last week is the possibilities of the Eternals, the Black Widow solo movie, or Doctor Strange 2. Now, if you saw last week's show, you know that I'm leaning more towards Doctor Strange 2. I'm even more leaning towards Doctor Strange 2 now that we know that the filming for this mystery film is going to be doing a lot of work in the UK. Now, Doctor Strange, a lot of work in the UK. They just shot a lot of that film in the UK. They had the news article that we talked about last week with Benedict Cumberbatch getting the pay raise. They're talking about that for his next role because this will be his 4th performance as Doctor Strange, right? Doctor Strange, the movie, Thor Ragnarok cameo, and then Avengers Infinity War. Now Doctor Strange 2 possibly would be his 4th time showing up as the Sorcerer Supreme. So we're starting to see signs that Doctor Strange 2 might very well be the next in line. In the article, it also talks about, from last week, it talks about how Scott Derrickson, the director, was kind of hinting at how him and Doctor Strange were going to be reuniting, right? So there's these little clues that are kind of popping in now that are saying and kind of signaling that this may be where we're going, right? Doctor Strange 2 may be that next film for Phase 4. We'll have to wait and see. But I am hopeful for it. I know everybody in the fan community is hopeful for it, because if you follow any movie websites or if you follow any artists or anything like that, there is a ton of fan art right now. And people are running stories about fan art, not official, like Disney released, Marvel released art or merchandise, but like just stuff you and I would create. Like, these are making news headlines. That's how thirsty we are for Marvel Studios content, right? So leave your thoughts below. What do you think about a Doctor Strange 2 movie? What do you think about Guardians of the Galaxy 3 being put on a hold right now, possibly an indefinite hold? We'll have to wait and see. And then kind of we'll go from there, right? So let me know what you think about Marvel Studios right now in Phase 4. Next up, coming to us from Screen Rant, Disney's streaming service is being called Disney Play. Disney Play. So with everything in the article, it talks about the Fox merger coming in and how they're going to use some of that content for the streaming service. They got new content that they're developing, right? The Star Wars series with Jon Favreau. I'm excited for that. I mean, Jon Favreau in general, whenever he's in a movie or he's directing a movie, I'm there. I like his writing style. I like the way he tells his stories. Chef was an absolutely brilliant film. I love Chef. So if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. But Jon Favreau coming in to do Star Wars, I'm there. This sounds great. That's going to be on the streaming service. In the article, it also talks about how it may change the name down the road, but right now they're looking at Disney Play. And I'm fine with that. Disney can call it whatever they want. I'll be there day one for it because it's Disney. Like we've talked about before on this show, I hope that they bring in some of those early 1960s Disney movies and like really kind of build out like all of their collections so we don't have so much stuff in the vault, right? Because you and I as Disney fans know, assuming you're a Disney fan, like they take movies out of the vault, they re-release them, special editions, diamond editions, whatever, and then like all of a sudden they go back in the vault and then we have to wait for them to come back out, or we have to pay like ridiculous amounts of money to get them from other people who had the foresight to buy them when they were originally released. So I'm excited about the possibility of all of this vault material like coming out onto the streaming service. I think that would be really cool to be able to go back and revisit some of those older films that kind of I grew up on, that whenever I think of Disney, I always go back to those classic family movies that had good characters, good story, good villains, but they were still family movies, right? They're still good films, but it wasn't like crazy weird stuff, just really solid structures, everything else, really dig it. And that's not to say like other films can't get weird. I really enjoyed my time in the Happytime Murders. That is a very raunchy comedy. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying there's separate categories that we can kind of expect from different groups, right? Disney has always kind of been more family oriented. So it's nice when they like really develop those stories out in those characters with their style. I like their style. That's what I'm saying. Let's not get crazy. All right, moving on. Let me know what you think about the Disney streaming service. Are you looking forward to it? Will you be subscribing? What do you think about the name Disney Play? Let me know in the comments below. Last news story of the day. Hans Zimmer is coming back to compose another Warner Brothers extended universe film, and this is going to be Wonder Woman 1984. So I am excited about this. I really like Hans Zimmer. I know there's always, if you talk movies with people and you talk scores with people, sometimes you'll always get into that heated debate, right, of Hans Zimmer or John Williams. I'm always going to lean towards John Williams, but Hans Zimmer is right there with John Williams, right? That's why you have that discussion, because they're both so good at what they do, bringing to life this music for all of these scenes that we're watching take place on the big screen. So what I wanted to do really quick is just talk about how it's pretty awesome that Hans Zimmer is coming to do Wonder Woman. But more than that, I also threw his IMDb page in the comments section below. So you can check that out because it gives his list of all the films that he's done. And we're just going to take a quick look at some of his films that he's done that I've really, really enjoyed the music to, or I just enjoyed the movie because I was too young to pay attention to the music. For example, starting off, we have, because he's been doing music since the 1980s. So coming in at 23 movies in the 1980s. He scored 23 movies. My favorite film that he scored in the 1980s is Rain Man. Rain Man is the #1 film for me in the 1980s that he did. Now, as far as the score is concerned, again, I was really young when I saw that, so the music doesn't stand out, but that out of all the films that he scored, that was my favorite. So coming in next, we have the 90s. He did 44 movies, and my top 2 in the 90s was Muppets Treasure Island. Hold on, don't tune out just yet. And The Rock. Both of those movies I really liked. And with Muppets Treasure Island, I didn't realize that he did the score for that until I was doing my research this morning and I was going through everything and I was like, holy cow, that makes total sense as to why he was brought on to do Pirates of the Caribbean as well. Because one could argue that that was an early audition for the Pirates franchise, right? Muppets Treasure Island. That's my 2 cents. If you think I'm crazy, throw your rebuttal in the comments. Coming in the 2000s, so 2000 to 2000 through 2009, he did 41 movies. One could argue that this is his best body of work for a decade. If you, again, go through that IMDb page with all of the movies that he's scored and composed, because from 2000 all the way up to through 2009, stacked deck, bro, stacked deck. So he's got Gladiator, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, Pirates of the Caribbean, At World's End, and Sherlock Holmes with Robert Downey Jr. Love the music in all these films. Now, say what you want about Pirates of the Caribbean as a franchise. The music, I love the music in these movies. It's just upbeat. It just feels perfectly in tune with what's happening on screen, right? That upbeat. And then also when it gets dark, it just really brings it down and you start hearing those minor chords come out and it just the dissonance that's there. I just love it. I love it. So Pirates of the Caribbean, both of the films, their scores, love it. Sherlock Holmes, again, a film that the music, when you hear it, it's very unique and specific to that film and both of those films, right? As you'll hear in a little bit. But I really like how he just uses different instruments to kind of color the world musically that we're going through with Sherlock Holmes. And then obviously Batman, the Batman franchise in general with Christopher Nolan. Great stuff. Very big, almost operatic. Same thing with Gladiator. He's got his quiet moments where he brings it down and then just boom, he's right back into it. Love it. And then 2010 to present day, 2010 to present day, we're looking at Inception, another Pirates of the Caribbean movie, On Strange Tides, the second Sherlock Holmes movie, A Game of Shadows, Dark Knight Rises, Man of Steel, and Blade Runner 2049. Again, Inception, a very odd movie, right? You're going dreams in dreams in dreams. He manages to create music and tones that match all of the weirdness that's happening in this film, all of the excitement. He does the same thing with Blade Runner 2049. And then Man of Steel, I think Man of Steel is a really good movie. I didn't at first, and then after a couple watches, I changed my mind on it, and I was like, yeah, this is actually pretty good. What would Superman do if Superman was Superman for a week, right? Like, it's, yeah, what would he do? That's a learning curve. It's a learning curve. And I really like the music to it, right? Because we've got the quieter moments with his family, the more heroic moments when he's battling, the more touching moments with him and Lois. There's a lot that he's got to cover emotionally. The emotional range that he has to cover, pretty great in Man of Steel. Really dig it. And then again, you just heard about what I think as far as Sherlock Holmes, Batman, and Pirates of the Caribbean go. So those are my top picks for him. Glad to see he's coming on board for another Warner Brothers superhero movie with Wonder Woman 1984. I think he's going to knock it out of the park with that because he continues to knock it out of the park with these films. Let me know, what is your favorite film that Hans Zimmer scored and composed? Let me know in the comments below. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and move now into the movie review section. Again, 2 films I got out to see, Happytime Murders and Crazy Rich Asians. We're going to drop those reviews for you guys right now, and then we will be right back right after that to finish up with what's hitting theaters this week, what's hitting DVD and Blu-ray for your home theater this week, and finally Certified Rad. So don't go anywhere. We got Crazy Rich Asians, we've got Happytime Murders, and then we will be right back with you to talk theaters, DVDs, and Certified Rad. Be right back. Finding someone you share a special connection with can be challenging in today's digital age. And then once you do find somebody, eventually you're going to have to meet their family. Now imagine that that special someone's family is all the way across the ocean, a world away in Singapore. That's where this story begins. So, does Crazy Rich Asians deliver on the humor and heart shown in the trailers? Or is this one long commercial for international travel? Let's talk about it in this review. This film is based on a book that I have not read, so don't worry about any comparisons in this review. The story revolves around the lives of one couple, Rachel, played by Rachel Chu, and Nick, played by Henry Golden. They're a young couple who are absolutely head over the heels in love with each other, but as we discover as the story, they don't really know each other that well. One of the reasons is because Rachel's mother has actually been keeping a very important secret from her throughout almost the entire movie. And it's at the very end that this big surprise reveal happens, and it did work, it surprised me. Another reason is because Nick is selfishly hiding who he is and what his life is like. Because of his family's incredible wealth, he's actually used to being treated a certain way and having a lot of attention. And he doesn't get that from Rachel at all. And so he kind of hides it because he enjoys the fact that this girl doesn't really know who he is or what his background is, and just loves him for who he is. So his reasons, they're understandable, but still selfish. And I'm happy to report that this film does a really great job telling the story of their blossoming love for each other. One delightful aspect about this movie is how it actually feels like a musical without singing. It was the pacing of the scenes and the dialogue that felt very similar to what we would see on a live Broadway stage with the dialogue and the blocking. For example, the scene where the women go off on their bachelorette day and they rush the store to do all of the shopping, I swear to you, I thought they were going to break out into song about how they love weddings and they love the idea of getting married and they love being rich. Another example is the opening scene where the woman sees Nick at the restaurant or the coffee shop with Rachel, and everyone's trying to figure out who this Rachel girl is, and they bring in all different kinds of scenes to kind of highlight like how they're doing a search, how everybody knows who Nick is, nobody knows who Rachel is. I swear to you again, I thought they're gonna break out into song about who is this chick that this guy's with. Continuing with the theme that this felt similar to a stage production, we had the vibrancy of the outfits, the colors, how everything just pops on screen, and the energy in this film is electric. And I loved the jazzy score that just accompanies this film. Scene to scene, it's just a wonderful little undercurrent of energy that just helps keep every scene moving from moment to moment without really losing any momentum whatsoever. This really helped too on those scenes where things kind of slow down a little bit, just to emphasize a very emotionally significant or important moment in the story for these characters that kind of adjust the tone of the film just slightly before moving back into that familiar kind of up-tempo, electric, jazzy feel that this had from start to finish. In short, this movie was constructed and executed incredibly well. Now let's look at the characters in this story. Everyone in this film plays a particular personality that plays off of the others brilliantly. The different marriages for all of his cousins were exactly that. They were all different. And that helps show us, the audience, how this lifestyle of being super rich impacts the family. Heading up the family, we have the mother and the grandmother, who are headstrong traditionalists. Family is everything to these two ladies, and creating your family dynasty is paramount. So anyone or anything that comes into the family has to see fit that they do exactly as these two women feel they should do. So outside of the stoic demeanor that these two women have, we have all of the cousins and the friends who bring something completely different, but it's always lighthearted, it's always fun and humorous to this story. Outside of a couple quick beats that happen in the film that are a little bit more serious and dramatic because of relationship tensions that are occurring, this film had me smiling and laughing from beginning to end. And all of the actors did such an incredible job being charming and energetic throughout this entire film. I couldn't help but feel just completely absorbed into their world. Crazy Rich Asians is playing at your local movie theater right now, and I am definitely recommending a big screen viewing of this film. It's a great romantic comedy, and the way the story progresses with all of the characters and their personalities, just A+ across the boards. I really enjoyed my time in the theater with this story. And there are some absolutely beautiful moments that happen on screen between some of the characters. If your jaw doesn't drop to the floor during the wedding scene, when the camera pans back once the floor is flooded and you get to see the marriage ceremony going on and how beautiful everything looks, I'm gonna recommend you set up an eye exam, because clearly there's some vision problems, because that was jaw-droppingly gorgeous, absolutely stunning. And because of the humor, the heart, the incredibly well-acted characters, and some wonderfully written scenes with dialogue that will definitely make you think, Crazy Rich Asians isn't getting 1 or 2 high fives. It is getting all the high fives from this guy. Crazy Rich Asians is playing at your local movie theater right now. Go see this film. A TV show can make an impact on society over the life of that show. Sometimes the impact can be so great that years after the show is canceled, fans are still celebrating the characters, the merchandise, etc. And occasionally, if the show is a big enough hit, it will get syndication, which means that the actors are getting paid on those reruns. But what happens if suddenly the actors are being murdered? What if those actors are puppets? Who gets the money? Does a puppet have a will? So many questions. Does the Happytime Murder answer those questions and more? Or are the happiest times in the trailer? Let's talk about it in this review. This movie actually surprised me and confused me, and I'll go ahead and explain. The story is about the puppet cast of an old children's TV show slowly being murdered off one by one. And a former puppet cop, now private investigator, is being framed for those murders. And he doesn't realize that the newest job he's taken is actually leading him into this murder mystery as prime suspect number one. However, as the story unfolds, he quickly realizes the danger that he's in, and with the help of his old human partner, played by Melissa McCarthy, they hope to clear his name and solve the mystery. Pretty solid stuff so far. Let's dive deeper. Early in the story, it is established that he and his old human partner are not on good terms or good standing. Previous in their relationship, while they were partners, she was being held at gunpoint by a puppet thug, and he was trying to shoot the puppet thug to let her get away. He misses, and the bullet goes past them and actually ends up killing an innocent bystander behind them who falls to the ground and dies in his young daughter's arms. Pretty tragic stuff. However, his human partner believes deep down inside that he intentionally missed because he didn't want to kill a fellow puppet, thus resulting in her injury and the distrust that grows from that incident. So that's some emotional baggage for sure. And by the third act of the film, we discover that the girl who actually has to hold her father as he's dying turns out to be the criminal mastermind. She's the one actually going through the story, killing puppet after puppet, because she is actually married to the only human on the show. So by killing all of the other puppets, one of which is the brother to the puppet PI, she and her human wife will get all of the millions from the syndication. We should also go ahead and note here that the human that she's married to is actually the love interest to the PI in this story. So let's recap real quick. So she holds her dying father, then she grows up. Kills the PI's brother because the PI was actually the cop that killed her father, steals his girl, tries to turn the entire police department against him, also tries to kill him, and then is about to run away with millions of dollars. Pretty diabolical. So the story is constructed incredibly well. And all of the puppets in this film look unique and they look pretty awesome. As the story progresses, we wander through Los Angeles with everybody, and we get to see the different puppets taking on different roles, different jobs, different personalities, different looks, etc. Again, puppet design, story construction, really well done. Now let's get into the confusing part of this story for me, because that would be the writing for the dialogue and the human actors. Terrible. Did I laugh at some of the jokes? Absolutely I did. Out loud and a few times more than I expected I would. Did Maya Rudolph and Melissa McCarthy deliver performances that outshined the other human actors in this film? Yup. Outside of McCarthy and Rudolph, the other human actors walked on set, delivered their lines with whatever emotion they were feeling that day, and left. It was noticeably bad. But back to the dialogue, because the dialogue felt like it was supposed to be a combination of two things. That 1960s to 70s cop drama, like go back and check out the old Dragnet TV series, and then something else entirely. I'm not quite certain if they were trying to achieve some type of like modern humoristic style, but it just didn't work whatever they were going for. So there were these scenes where characters are being described, or the locations of places are being described, or kind of what the day looks like is being described, that literally feels like it was ripped right out of those cop dramas, which was very cool. But then we kind of venture into the other side of the writing where it gets confusing, and I'm not quite sure if they were trying to deliver ridiculous lines and ridiculous dialogue to emphasize just how ridiculous this movie is actually supposed to feel. Or it's entirely possible they were trying to be clever and they weren't trying to be ridiculous, but in my opinion failed at reaching that goal. The Happytime Murders is playing at your local movie theater right now, and I am going to recommend you check this out once it hits Redbox or your preferred video streaming service. Be advised, people of the interweb, this is an R-rated raunchy comedy to the extreme. They are absolutely able to get away with some very wild moments because they're using puppets, not actual people, for some of those scenes. This film is absolutely not something to watch when the kids are around. You have been warned. However, if you can laugh at some very R-rated, raunchy humor coming from puppets, you will not be disappointed with some of the jokes in this film. Plus, as stated previously in this review, the story is structured really well and the puppets all look great. So for these reasons, the Happytime Murders is getting at least one high five from this guy. Happytime Murders is playing at your local movie theater right now. Go check out Crazy Rich Asians instead. And we're back. A clock on the wall indicates, as so does the clock on YouTube, that we are past 30 minutes. So thank you guys if you're still watching for sticking around. Really appreciate it, even though we have gone a little longer. We're going to jump real quick right into what's hitting theaters, what's hitting DVD and Blu-ray for your home theater, and finally Certified Rad. So let's go ahead and jump into that right now. Hitting theaters this week, we have Kin, A Little Stranger, Juliet Naked, and Operation Finale. Out of these movies, I am 3 of the 4 I'm looking forward to. Kin looks like it's going to be a really down-to-earth, kind of gritty sci-fi action movie about brothers. Very excited about that one and just how it looks. Like I said, kind of groundy, kind of gritty, street-level sci-fi. Could be good. Juliet Naked, the trailers for this one had me sold. Plus, Chris O'Dowd I like a lot. You can go back and watch his earlier stuff with the IT Crowd. And then he's also had some other films that he's had leading roles in. Really like his performances. And obviously, with Rose Byrne and Ethan Hawke rounding out the group, there's a lot to look forward to in that. Plus, the story looks pretty good. And then finally, Operation Finale. Very excited about this one. Out of all of these films, this is the one I'm most excited for. One of Hitler's number 2s escapes and has been in hiding for a while, living his life. He's found and they got to get him back for trial and everything else. Very excited about Operation Finale. If you haven't seen the trailers for it, definitely recommend it. Looks like it's going to be heating up and getting us ready for Oscar season for sure. All right, hitting DVD and Blu-ray this week, we have Mary Shelley, American Animals, Book Club, Upgrade, Tag, and RBG. Did not see Book Club or Mary Shelley. Can't comment on those. If you saw them and enjoyed them, go ahead and throw your comments in the comments section below about what you thought about those films. I really enjoyed American Animals and Tag. My review for those films are on the movie review playlist, so you can check those out to hear more on why I enjoyed those movies. Did not see RBG. If you saw that documentary about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, go ahead and throw your thoughts in the comments. And finally, Upgrade. Just like Kin, how it has that kind of street level, gritty sci-fi-ness look to it, Upgrade delivered that and a lot more. I really enjoyed Upgrade. I'm definitely going to recommend you check that out once it's available on DVD and Blu-ray. And also check out my review for that one to get more information about why I liked Upgrade, because I really, really thought it was a well-done film, especially for like a lower budget sci-fi film. Good stuff. So there you go. That's hitting DVD and Blu-ray this week. All right, before we sign off this week, we're going to take a look at Certified Rad. If you're new to the show, thanks for watching. Certified Rad is anything that pops up. It could be a news story. It could be people helping people. It could be a tech gear review. In this case, a book review. It's whatever I find or someone sends me and they're like, hey, check it out. I'll look it over. If it's rad, we'll go ahead and we'll certify it rad on this show every week. So for Certified Rad this week, we are going to be taking a look at this book right here. That's what it looks like. Can't really see it too well, but you get the picture. And the book is called Getting to Maybe, and it's about social innovators and people who are looking to create change, not just in themselves, but in their business, in their community, etc. So really quick, I'm just going to read you the headline on this. This book is for those who are not happy with the way things are and would like to make a difference. This book is for ordinary people who want to make connections that will create extraordinary outcomes. This is a book about making the impossible happen, getting to maybe, how the world is changed. So if you ever have a goal and you're looking at it and you're going, this is a gigantic goal, I don't think I'm ever going to meet it, this book really helps you realize that you can, but you've got to start where you are and then work towards that goal. So great book. It's written a little differently than other books that kind of help you keep your perspective and kind of give you strategy and guide and advice as far as like business and creating startups and creating change. In this book, each chapter starts with a poem that fits the actual narrative that they're going to be continuing in that chapter for whatever the topic is. So really cool because it gives you a poem, it gives you something to think about from like actual poets, and then it dives right into like the real world examples, the topic for that chapter, gives you stuff to chew on, gives you stuff to think about. If you want to check this out, Getting to Maybe, I threw a link for it in the show notes below, so check it out if you are interested in social innovation, or if you're the type of person who just has a goal and you think that the goal is gigantic, you feel overwhelmed because you don't know how you're going to achieve it. This book will really help you kind of fix and adjust, well, maybe not fix, but definitely adjust your perspective so that you can focus on what can you do to achieve your goal to help people and to create that change that you feel is important in your life and in your community. So definitely check it out. Getting to Maybe, that is my recommendation this week. And this book is definitely certified rad. I just finished reading it last night. So check it out. Link in the show notes below. All right, everybody, that's it for this week's episode. We are now going over 40 minutes. So we are way past time. So thank you so much if you're still watching this. Appreciate all of you tuning in. If you haven't, go ahead and click that subscribe button, hit the bell so you get the notifications when new content drops right here on this channel. Also, don't forget to give me the thumbs up if you enjoy any portion of this week's episode, because as always, the thumbs up helps people who like movie-related shows find this movie-related show right here on YouTube. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here and let you guys get back to your Monday routines. Again, thank you so much for dropping in this week and spending some time with me on this Monday morning. Hope you guys enjoyed what we discussed. If you have thoughts, leave them in the comments. We hope you're able to get out to the theaters this week to see some of these movies that are out that we have already talked about on this channel or are getting ready to see this weekend. And as always, until next Monday, good night and good luck.